Hi, this is David, and my videos always start with my butt. Because I have no camera, people. I have no backup. I have nothing. I want to do a video that I've given a lot of thought to, and I hope, and I am going to try very, very hard to be a little different than I've been on some of my other videos. The subject that I'm going to address has to do with females, and I do have a master's degree in human anatomy and counseling and, oh Lord, everything. Sociology, anthropology, anything having to do with human behavior. I'm qualified to teach at the college level. I never got to teach in college the way that I wanted to, and I'm kind of using parts of my video now to, you know, I'm a frustrated professor. There are things I'm going to say on this video that I could not say under academic freedom even in a classroom. And I wished that I had seen a video like this when I was young, but I don't see any out there. I don't see any out there. To learn about female anatomy and to learn about female emotions and feelings related to sex, I haven't seen the whole package put together, and I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm some kind of an expert, but I think I can put the whole package together in a way maybe others haven't done it. I've taken female anatomy classes at school, and they have the picture of the vagina and the lips on the vagina, and they have the little pointer that this does this, you know, and it's all very academic. And yeah, it's helpful, and yeah, it's informative and informational, but what I'd like to do is two things. I'd like to go through the proper anatomy to the best of my knowledge, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a gynecologist. I hung a sign out that said I was a gynecologist, but nobody came. Now, come on, that's just my personality, stop it. I'd like to put together how these things work, not just what they are. You know, if you see a picture of a new car, and it's very beautiful and very desirable, and you know, it has all the fancy things on it, attached to it, that's not like driving it. That's not like driving it. How that car handles, the power of that car, and the accessories on that car, and the way the engineers put it together, they're all very different. So let me start at the very beginning here. We're going to talk about vaginas and breast and how female anatomy works, but also the feelings and the emotions tied into that in relationships. So let me start at the beginning. This is what I've told my girls, and I believe it. I believe it very, very strongly. That I've never met girls in counseling and in the professional levels that I've been at, that when they give their vaginas away to a boy, and I'm not prejudiced to a girl, they also give a piece of their heart away. This is very, very different than a boy. When a boy has an orgasm and he has intercourse with a girl, he may not even know her name, and after 15 or 20 seconds, he may not even be in the room. He may be in his car and gone. He doesn't remember who he's had sex with, and there's times, if you really get a fabulous sex partner, she can make an impression upon a man, but most girls don't. I'm sorry, most girls don't. It's the way a man's brain and penis works. Men are always looking to put their penis in almost any vagina that happens to come along. They may deny that and wine and dine you and take you out to dinner and I love you, but you know, all that is designed to get your panties off, there's no doubt about it. Because a woman is mentally and emotionally hooked to sex, she's got to be very, very careful of when she engages in sex and why. If she is being casual, and some girls can, and that doesn't bother me, and it may not bother them, I don't care. I'm not trying to make any judgments here at all. I'm trying to just basically give clear information. But most of the time, a girl who allows sexual intercourse, she's giving a piece of her heart. Somewhere in the back of her head, she is thinking, I may marry this man, or I am married to this man, or I'm going to marry this man. This is a person who is my soulmate. She is hoping and wishing and dreaming and experiencing a very different emotion than a man is. A man just wants her body and spreads your legs and go for it, and then he goes out and gets a beer or a Coke, and he's watching football. And he says, Jenny who? What was your last name? Well, now I'm being comical to myself. So be aware, ladies, that your vagina is very different than a penis, not in just the way it looks, but in the way it's hooked to your brain. I have found, and I've said this on other videos, that if a girl is molested by her father or grandfather, someone who is in authority position that has a sacred obligation and trust to keep that boundary, you know, where it needs to be. It's a hard thing to do. Most men, you know, as we get to be fathers, it's a strange thing, you know, to hold a baby girl in your arms and she's naked. That's kind of a strange thing, and we're not quite sure how to twist and turn that in the way we've been trained, in the way we've been thought to be as fathers. And over time, and over years of experience, most men come to, you know, off guard or off territory, that there is a boundary there. Yes, you can hug your girls and snuggle them and kiss them, but there comes a time where they go to the bathroom by themselves and they go into the tub by themselves, etc. So let's go back to now being raised as a little girl. There's a lot of things that go on in high school, or in elementary and junior high and other places, where girls develop and they have no idea. They have no idea what is going on with their bodies. And there's a tendency to be ashamed, to be embarrassed, to be humiliated, and to be withdrawn, and to go, God, you know, this is happening to me and I'm not sure, you know, am I normal? Those are all normal feelings. What I've tried to do with my girls is warn them right from the get-go, probably what's going to happen and probably how they're going to feel and some of the emotions and events that go on. I remember my little, my 13-year-old, she's been having her period since she was 10. Since she was 10. I've never seen a girl that young, and yet my 9-year-old now, she's 9-year-old next week, she may be having her period at 10. So the girls are having their periods younger and younger, they're healthier, and they're developing quicker and more. So as you grew up as a little girl, somebody should have sat you down and given you quite a long informational lecture on what is really happening to your body. So let's go past the latency age and the younger kids, and let's get up to where the girls and yourselves have begun to start to develop. Well, now there's feelings. There's feelings that are strange feelings. The first consequences or things of a woman growing up is her period. And if she's not warned about that, that can be pretty damn scary. And if you're a parent watching this, you have an obligation to go to your girls a year, at least a year before it happens. You know, my 9-year-old right now knows all about menstruation and periods, and she's ready. She's totally ready. She's not going to be surprised. And she asks me all the time, you know, Dad, when am I going to start my period? And I go, hey, don't worry about it. They come naturally. Don't worry about it. So that could be very traumatizing for a girl. Now, let me, again, try to put in more than just the facts. Okay? My little one, she was saying to me or my big one, she was saying to me, Dad, she says, what's a tampon? I go, well, honey, you know, some girls will wear a Kotex pad or a mini pad or something, and it just kind of glues in your underwear, and just, you know, just have to take it out. And she says, well, yeah, but I play sports and stuff and go swimming, and, you know, I've heard that these things are different. And I said, well, honey, I'm not a girl. And see, her mom is from a third world country. They know nothing. They know nothing. They can't advise girls. They don't know themselves what's between their legs. There's no way they're going to be able to tell. So she would take me to Walmart, and I go, well, yeah, this is one field trip that I'm just a little nervous on. But I went over there with her, and we started looking at tampons, and she said, well, Dad, how do I know? Do I get skinny ones, long ones, big? I said, honey, I'm not a girl. I really don't know. But what I would do is try different ones. Just try different ones. And be aware. Be aware that some girls can't wear these. The shape of their vagina, it makes it way too uncomfortable. They can't wear them, and they have to go back to a pad. Some girls wear both on heavy days. Oh, okay. So she picked out for herself what she wanted, and then we were sitting at the mall, and her mother was in the mall, and she takes the package out, and she looks at it, and she says, Dad, how do I put this in? I go, good Lord. Okay, let's look at the directions. That was the way I was going to handle this one. So we look at the directions, and I said, honey, you're really going to have to experiment. Every girl is different. Everyone is going to do different things. I said, okay. So we got home, and one of my funniest things in raising my kids, she comes out of the bathroom and comes running in my bedroom, and she says, Dad, I put one in. I go, okay. She says, I laid on the floor of the bathroom. I go, honey, I'm not a girl, but I don't think you lay on the floor of public restrooms and your school gym lockers to put it in. I think there's an easier way. You know, maybe put your leg up on the toilet or something. Oh, okay, I'll try that. So she's down the road now where those things are pretty much, she's learned that. She knows about her body. And then she was going to 7th grade, and she has a locker now. And I told her, before she ever went to 7th grade, I said, honey, I said, you better put in your locker a couple of tampons in case you start your period early or something where you're not expecting it, and you don't want to have to come home, and you don't want to have, you know, kids laughing at you or whatever. Put extras in there. Well, sure enough, the first 3 months of 7th grade, she says, Dad, I started my period 2 days early. I'm glad I had that in my locker. So she's come to me, and I'm coming now to you as girls, and I'm trying to give you the best information that I can. Let me go over just a little bit of, there's a couple directions I want to go, but let's go over a period to start with. Okay, a period should be roughly every 28 days. Most girls, not all. Not all. Some girls will go 30, 32, some will go 26. So if your period is real early or real late, other than your friends, don't worry about it. Totally normal. Now here's an interesting sidelight that probably most of you have never heard of. In convents and private schools and anywhere that girls gather together and live together, their periods pretty much start to coincide. Society and science, I haven't looked at this for probably 10 years, but my feeling is probably that the pheromones that they're given off somehow changes the girls' periods because they're all around each other all the time. So they basically start within a few days of each other, etc. And it's kind of an interesting thing about the adaptation of the body. Now, the other thing that I would say, and most of you know, most of you that are watching this are adults, some of you may not be, but the reason that that blood comes out of a young lady, an older lady, up to menopause, is that there's ovaries on each side of the girl's tummy, lower tummy. And basically, when you're born as a girl, you have all the eggs you will ever have. You will never develop another egg. When that baby comes out of the mother, she has every egg she's ever going to have as she grows up. Now, boys are different. Boys develop 200 million sperm sometimes per day. So they're always making sperm, and they're always ejaculating, either in wet dreams or masturbating, or in a marriage putting their penis in their wives or whatever, and it makes new sperm. All the time the testes make new sperm. In a little girl, that's not true. And so what happens when she starts her period is that there's one side of the ovary that will let a little egg out. And it's the ovary that will open, and the little egg will come out and go into the fallopian tube. And the little tube goes down towards the uterus. Well, if sperm meets that little egg coming down, then it fertilizes, and it comes on down to the uterus, and then it sticks on. You know, it grabs its hands and its feet, and it sticks onto the uterus, and the uterus is full of blood all over. It's like the yolk of an egg. It's ready to feed a baby. And here comes the baby coming down in the little egg, and it's fertilized. It grabs on. So the uterus stays in place, and the zygote begins to grow into an embryo, and then into a baby. Next month, if you're not pregnant, then the other side will ovulate. And it'll go back and forth, one side, the other side. Sometimes girls will get a little bit of a pain. They'll feel that just a little bit when it's releasing or in the process of releasing. Also, living with girls, and this is what I'm trying to put into the video too, I can see it about 2 days off with my wife and my daughters. They change, their personality changes. Now, it's not that they're trying to be a bitch. It's their hormones. When you have men, adrenaline, and you're in a football game, you're strong, and you want to fight. Well, those are hormones. Endorphins, the same way. You're in love and you're happy and everything, you know. Chemistry has a lot to do with our human bodies, and with females, when they ovulate and they're starting their periods, their body is getting set up to have a baby, and to have a baby cling on and then go into the cycle of hormones and feeding the baby, and their breasts will get a little bit sore on the end. That's a real good indicator that you're pregnant. You miss your period, and then your breasts are a little bit sore around the nipples, and you go, yeah, I just don't feel totally right. Or you're throwing up like you've never thrown up before. I had one little wife, my heart went out to her. She must have thrown up for 6 months, 6 hours a day. I just never saw anything like it in my life. And they'll get a little bit, I want chocolate, I want ice cream, I want a hamburger. They start to get a feeling or a hunger for certain chemicals, certain drugs, and certain minerals. And the husband thinks, God, she's crazy, she's just trying to make me go to the store. It's not true. It's not true. The baby is needing certain chemicals, and she may have deficits, may not be taking multivitamins, and she might be, but still, the baby has certain developmental stages where it uses different chemicals and minerals and vitamins to develop brain and tissues and nerves and whatever. So when you start to crave certain foods, that's totally normal. Totally normal. The other thing is your mood. Your mood will swing all over the place. Don't take drugs for your mood. Don't take drugs for your mood. And I'm telling you, as a professional, most drugs, unless they're really, really needed, and your doctor will tell you, are extremely dangerous to a developing fetus. I don't care what it is. You may have been taking Valium for 20 years, and then you get pregnant, and your kid will come out with some kind of birth defect. So you've got to quit taking vitamins. Of course, don't drink alcohol. That destroys, anytime you take in any amount of alcohol, it destroys brain cells, and it destroys brain cells in the baby. So don't drink. Obviously, don't take illegal drugs, heroin and crack and meth and whatever. Don't get into that, or your baby's going to come out with 3 heads and no legs. And now you've got that for the rest of your life to feel guilty about. So let's go back then, that your periods are normal. They can be within 4 days, 5 days, 6 or 8 days of somebody else. And they're not always the same. Many times when you haven't had a baby, in the hospital they'll call it spotting, S-P-O-T-T-I-N-G. Means you have a little bit of blood, but it's not flowing like a regular period. You can get that before a period, you can get that after a period. That doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong. It doesn't. If it's painful, or you're getting some kind of a discharge, or you're getting some kind of a odor that is unusual, then you may want to go right in and see a gynecologist and say, hey, you know what, my vagina's not working right, can you check it out? Well, let me go right to that point. When you go to a gynecologist, now there's a lot of females, you can go to a female gynecologist, and they're the same. I've been in with my wife to a female gynecologist, I've been in with many males that historically have always been there. And what they do is they lay you on that little table, and they have what they call stirrups. They're like a saddle, stirrups. And you get your feet, and you're kind of like a squat. You get your butt kind of up in the air a little bit, and your vagina is right in his face. And basically at that particular point, they will usually, depends on the reason that you're there, but they'll usually put a small, cold, many times it's cold, little metal thing in your hole of your vagina and stretch it a little bit. Now, I never had that done to me, but I can tell you this, I don't think it's real comfortable. I've had prostate fingers in my butt. That ain't comfortable either. So I'm just kind of imagining here what the situation is going to be with, they'll call back. So they'll put that little metal thing in, and then they'll stretch that hole. And that's a little uncomfortable, and it's cold. Now that hole is opened up. He can look up in there and see your uterus and see the insides of where that baby is going to come through, and the uterine opening, okay? One of the things that he'll notice if you're pregnant is that uterus will have what they call a plug, P-L-U-G. It's kind of like a wax and kind of like a membrane plug that when you got pregnant, that plug basically started to develop so the baby doesn't fall out of the uterus, and that nothing basically can go up into that uterus anymore. No more sperm, no more disease or germs or whatever. And the other thing I would say too is make sure that you realize that it's normal to have bacteria in your vagina. There's many, many good bacteria that are in a woman's vagina, and it keeps it balanced. It keeps it very, very balanced and very, very healthy. So the doctor's looking up there. If he sees, if you're there for a gynecologist exam because of pregnancy, he's just checking how that birth canal is that plug in place, and the color of the uterus, and making sure everything is healthy there. Now, if you're just going in for a pap smear, which a lot of you will be doing in your 30s and up, you know, he will take a little instrument and he'll just scrape just a little bit of skin off of that uterus. I don't think you can feel that. The uterine wall is extremely strong muscle, and it's not really fit with a lot of nerves, so you're not going to feel that. So he's going to scrape that a little bit, bring it out, and put it into a petri dish to grow in the lab to make sure you don't have uterine cancer. Okay, so then he'll close it and you know, say we're all done, and you know, you feel, oh, maybe a little violated. I mean, how many times have you had your vagina wide open in the face of somebody else? Unless you're married, then maybe that's kind of common. But the thing is, the reason that you're going there is to be healthy. And to know that your baby is going to be healthy. Now, let me go right on into the baby kind of thing too, okay? Most girls, and my experience has been that when they have a baby and they're pregnant, they've missed their period, they've gone to the doctor, and the doctor, you took a little pregnancy test, you peed on the stick at home and it goes, pregnant, you've been to the doctor, now she's got a baby in her. Now that's a pretty damn scary thing. If that's your first baby, man, oh man, that's scary stuff. Have a human being inside of you, it's kind of like a, you know, like that little alien thing that came out in the movies. And now you're not quite sure, you know, a vagina was a good thing. Yeah, it's kind of ugly a little bit when you had your period, maybe. That's your opinion, and I don't think it is, but maybe you do. And then you let somebody put a penis in, and now you have a human being. This is going like from bad to worse. Well, it's part of being a woman. It's part of being a woman. Pretty soon you start to feel again, your hormones are changing. You're not going to be horny. You're not going to be going, hey, get in here. You know, get that trapeze up there again. You're not going to usually be that excited and that interested in sex. And I think part of that is nature. I think part of that is the hormones now that are being released in your body are saying, you know, don't get wild and don't get crazy. We got a baby in here. Now the woman always worries too. Oh, the penis is going to go up and kill the baby. Well, you should be so lucky that you get a penis that long. That baby's way up there. That baby's way up there. You've got several inches in your vagina before you ever come even close to the uterus. So intercourse generally is safe and reasonable while you're pregnant. Now again, everybody's different. A lot of girls, they don't want to have sex when they're pregnant. That puts the husband in a tough spot. Other girls, they don't want to get their legs up over their head because they're afraid that baby is too close and it'll be damaged. Other girls are said, you know, I don't think I want to have an orgasm because it might push the baby out. That ain't going to happen either. What I can say is that every girl is different and every relationship is different, and you and your husband are going to have to work out how often intercourse, when, etc. Now, again, I'm going to put into this video what you won't hear in textbooks. And I'm glad that I can do this way, because it makes sense to me. There are many things you can do as a husband and wife that don't include intercourse. Okay? Now, some things, you're going to go, ooh, I'm not going to do that. And other things, hey, I like that. Everybody's different. Don't be judgmental. You're going to be different than the couples next door, and you as a woman is going to be different than all the other women around you. There's some couples that'll say, you know, I'm just going to lay flat. I'm not going to put my legs up because I don't want that penis up in there that far. And that works. That works. There's some couples that will masturbate each other. That works and works good for both couples. There's no danger there. There's oral sex, and the Mormon girls are going to, well, some people like it, some people don't. And, you know, until you've tried it, you may not like it, you may like it. I would say this, just a few comments on oral sex. There's times that people like that, a certain period of their life. There's times that they don't. Now, people have to be pretty clean to suck on their sex organs or to lick on their sex organs. So, you know, that's a consideration. How young you are, and if you've just been swimming for 8 hours and you get a quiet spot together, hey, go for it, you know. But again, you get part of a couple. He may like to lick on your vagina, and you may be able to come with him licking on your vagina. Or you may like masturbating him and sucking on his penis, but he doesn't like doing that to you. So there's different combinations, and they're not always the same all the time. When you're in your 20s or 25 or 30 or 40, it will change. You've got to let yourself change. As your body changes, your ideas change, and as you're introduced to new things, you go, hey, I kind of like that. Let's give that a try. Now, let me go back to the birth control part of a vagina. First of all, there are some men, not very many, and even the ones that are good. When the man starts to get really, really sexually excited and he's about to ejaculate and put his sperm out, there is a small amount of liquid that is clear that comes to the top of his penis. That's got sperm in it, ladies. That's got sperm in it. And if you're going to use a withdrawal method where he's going to do it and do it and do it, and pretty soon he's ready to come, he'll pull his penis out and then just put it up on top of your vagina. And that goes, oh, good, we're not going to get pregnant. Let me tell you from, you know, my own experience. You know on the textbook that you can get pregnant the first time you have intercourse. Not very likely. Highly statistically unlikely. It happened to me. It happened to me. I had intercourse once. My little Genevieve. was conceived, and she's 8 now. So don't tell me that one time is not going to get you pregnant. You get that penis inside of you, there's going to be a chance you're going to get pregnant. And even these guys that are really, really good on withdrawal, they have got to get that way out of there before that little top comes to the top of the penis. And you don't see it, of course it's in you. He doesn't see it, of course it's in you. And now that's in your vagina, and the little spermies are climbing up towards that egg. So, withdrawal is a method of birth control, not a real good one. Obviously, the pill is one of the best. Those drugs have been changed over the years. You know, it used to be terrible, but they're safe now and comfortable. There's also diaphragms. Girls put that up in their vagina, and it's kind of like a little round circle, and it covers the whole uterine area so the sperm can't get through. But some of the sperm are real smart, and they'll climb up over the side. That's not a real safe area either. Then there's a spermicide. It's like a big needle with a big tip. It's not a sharp needle. And just before you have intercourse, you shoot that foam into your vagina, and then when the spermies come in, they're all, ah, I'm dead, I'm dead. Well, some of them swim better than others, and they can go buy that foam also. And certainly there's other forms of birth control. Intrauterine devices, boy, they're dangerous as hell. A lot of girls with heart attacks, and a lot of girls with strokes. Anytime you block that vagina from its normal functions, you're taking a chance. You're taking a chance. The pill, there's not a lot of danger to, because you can obviously urinate okay, and you can also have your period. You can have sperm up inside of you, and it will run out the way that it's supposed to. And it's open, and it's breathing, and it's balanced. It's balanced. Now let me hit that part of a vagina too, as far as being balanced. There is a lot of girls, and it used to be you could not get this medication without going to a doctor. Much better today, much better. There's such a thing as called a yeast infection in a vagina. And I'm telling you, I saw it in daycare centers all the years that I ran daycare centers. We would have baby girls come in, and they'd be on amoxicillin or penicillin or other derivatives of penicillin. And they would heal up, their ears would be good again, their eyes, and they're happy, happy, happy. Within 2 weeks, the mother would come in and go, I don't know what's wrong with this baby. She's got a diaper rash. I can't. I've got Vaseline on it. I've got Desitin on it. I've got everything on it. Look, that's a yeast infection. That's what it is. The penicillin killed the good germs in her vagina. And the yeast began to grow. There wasn't germs there to eat the yeast and to balance it. So the germs, or the yeast kept growing and growing. Now it's not only in her vagina, but out on her lips, and sometimes down her legs and up her butt a little bit. And so what you get is Desitin, and you can go right over the counter and get Desitin, and it basically is itchy. It basically is like white cottage cheese. It makes little bumps, kind of like goosebumps, and it's very, very uncomfortable for a girl. So if you're taking an antibiotic, go get some Desitin, and when that happens, go ahead and put the Desitin in a little bit on the vagina, especially the outside, and then suddenly, you know, that yeast is killed, and the bacteria starts to grow again, and suddenly it's balanced. Now, the vagina also has a very interesting, when I was in college, we didn't know, now I haven't been in for a long time, they may know now, and you may just want to hit it on the computer, I don't know, but when a girl gets excited, her vagina gets wet. Now, a lot of girls don't know that. A lot of girls know their vagina's wet, but they're not sure why. Okay, it's sexual excitement. It's a lubricant that she produces in that area where the penis is going to go in, so that it's more comfortable the first few moments that he puts that penis in there. It's white, it's a little bit milky looking, and it's more in some girls than others, and it takes a while. You know, a lot of times men don't know that an erection happens in, you know, 3.5 seconds. And he's ready to ejaculate 5 seconds later. Your vagina is not that way. Your vagina is hooked to your heart, and it's hooked to your brain. Unless he kisses you, unless foreplay, unless he tells you he loves you, and slowly begins to excite you, that liquid is not going to be there. And then when he goes to put his penis in, that's going to hurt like hell. That's going to be a round peg in a square hole. So a lot of men don't know much about sex, especially young men, and they don't warm that girl up and get her vagina full, not full, but well saturated with that lubricant. Then when he goes to put it in, he can put it in slow and easy, and then that lubricant will grow and be more, so eventually when you're full on with intercourse, you know, there's no friction there at all. It's totally lubricated. So when girls get excited, you will notice that your vagina will get a little bit wet. And that's a first sign that you're getting excited. And your breast will start to stick out. They become a little bit erect. They're kind of like a men's erection. And so your breast will get kind of excited and your vagina will get wet. And then pretty soon, there's kind of a prickly feeling all over that you are interested. You are interested. And as he kisses you or touches your breast or your vagina, you start to get hot. And your breathing, like his breathing, will be increased, and you're probably going to have full-on sexual relations. Now, let me go again to the vagina itself. They are so different. You are going to be normal. Whatever your vagina looks like is normal. Not many, but some little girls, not little girls, some women keep their little girl look. Just the outside labia is there, nothing else is there, and that basically the hair has grown, the pubic hair has grown there, and that again starts at whatever, 11, 12, right in there. And the hair patterns are very similar in some areas, and other areas they're not. They can be very, very different, very different colors, very different textures, etc. Now, what generally happens, I would say about maybe 4 to 8% of women hold on to the little tiny vagina looking little girl type of vagina. Most women, the inside lips, you have the outside lips and then you have the inside lips that become swollen and they become red when you're sexually excited. And those lips can be very, very diverse. May have a left one bigger than a right one or vice versa. They may stick way out of the vagina, and I mean like a ½ an inch, and even expand more as you get sexually excited. Or they may just come out a little bit. Every girl is going to be different. The size of those outer lips and inner lips vary with every single girl. The way they look, the color, the texture, and the position. Now a lot of girls will have, most girls will have that vagina up under their pelvic bone. They're all under the pelvic bone, but some vaginas are way up more towards the rectum. There's other vaginas that are right underneath that bone, right there by the pelvic bone, and they're more. So if that girl stands in front of you, you can see her vagina, mostly 99% of it. There's other girls that it's underneath, more under between their legs, both normal, both 100% normal. Nothing wrong with that. Now, those inside lips, if you follow them to the top, where they both come together at the top, you will find there a small button. It's called a clitoris, or a clit. That is the main focus of a female orgasm. You probably have never seen it. And again, you know, if you're a female, for God's sakes, go get a hand mirror and put it down there and take a look and see what's there, see how it works. Get in front of your closet door, and a mirror closet door, take a look so that you understand what's there and how it works. So at the top of those inner lips, you're going to find a clitoris. Now, she hides. She has what we call a hood, H-O-O-D, like the hood of a car covers the engine. Well, in females, we call that a hood over the clitoris and at the top of the vagina. Now, that is a very, very sensitive, small, but tremendously neurological device. That little clit has, I think, God, I forget the number, but it has like 100 or 1,000 times more nerves in it than the head of a penis. That's how sensitive it is. And that's why it's kind of under the hood, because until it is really, really excited, you can't touch it. I mean, it is so sensitive, it'll drive you, you know, right out the door. So that hood comes over the top of that clitoris, and as you have intercourse, those inner lips move back and forth with the penis. And then the top of that moves that hood back and forth over the clitoris, and your excitement just gets more and more and more. Now that whole area generally becomes engorged with blood. The inner lips are red, the clitoris is red, and it will expand a little bit and grow a little bit like the lips do, just like a penis does. And basically, that feels good. Now here's the problem with females, and the reason that I'm telling you this, because no one will ever tell you this. Maybe they have, maybe they won't. Most girls can't come, orgasm, with just a penis. It's just not good enough. Sometimes the top of those lips are not tied real good to the clitoris. Sometimes the clitoris is not attached to those lips, and the lips may be moving, but the clitoris isn't. Some clitorises are bigger. They require less stimulation. Some are kind of tiny, and they require more. Many, many times in relationships, a woman is going to have to put her hand down on her clitoris and rub it. I've seen it many, many different ways. It can be up and down. Most of the time, it's a middle finger, round and round, and as he is having intercourse with you, you will stimulate that clitoris. And then suddenly you'll get to a point where you're going to come. You know you're going to come, and he's going to come. And boy, you know, sometimes that takes 5 or 6 years in a marriage to be able to come together. But if you can, that's fabulous. That's like going into another world. It's like the celestial kingdom over and over again. Now, she may hold her finger on there and finish the orgasm. She may not. And she'll move in a way underneath his penis so that that pubic bone will get rubbed, and that clitoris will be rubbed back and forth to reach an orgasm. Now, here's a big difference again between men and women. Once he comes, his penis will go soft within 20 seconds. It's gone. And he's going to get in the car and get a Coke and run down and go bowling. Okay? Your clitoris isn't the same way. Your brain and your body are not the same. You want to be held. You want to be cuddled. You want to be snuggled. You want to be kissed. And you want someone to say, I love you. You got to get that straight with your partner. You got to say, hey, this is what you need to do. Don't get in that damn car and go down bowling. You cuddle up. You got me and you enjoyed me. Now let me enjoy myself. The other thing that can be very different with a girl is you can come more than once. It's exaggerated. A lot of girls don't come more than once, but many do. You can come 1, 2, 3 times. Now, of course, you're going to hear the wild stories of the girl that comes 10,000 times. It's not true. It's not true. But you may want to come again. You know, your clitoris is still very, very excited, and if he's a good husband or a good mate or whatever, he'll hold you, or his penis is gone, his finger is still good, but you just determine what you want. You want something else in there, or you just want to rub your clitoris until you come again. So you may be able to come 2 or 3 times. Not much of that changes when you're pregnant. Sometimes the hormones are different. Some girls are more horny when they're pregnant. Not very many, but most girls are not as horny when they're pregnant, and they're a little bit afraid. They're a little bit afraid. So, a little bit about the clitoris, a little bit about the inner lips, how they work, a little bit about the lubrication. I didn't know, you know, I've been out of the loop here for a while, but, you know, most American girls now shave their vaginas. I didn't know that. They didn't when I was a child. That was not a common thing, but it is now. Most girls, probably 85, 90% of the girls now, do shave their vaginas, so that's up to you. And I tell my girls the same thing. I said, you know what? What you do with your vagina is your own business. It's your own damn business. Keep it to yourself, keep it private, and do what you want to do. So for whatever that's worth, it's probably not worth very much. And of course, a lot of girls will shave a little bit with bathing suits. They don't want, you know, their pubic hair coming out the sides of their bathing suits, which I think is a good idea, don't have it coming out. That kind of distracts the men. So, the breast, a little few things there that are different on a woman. Obviously, they're going to develop 9, 10, 11 years old. You can start to feel those muscles in the chest developing. And pretty soon, the girl will be what we call budding, B-U-D-D-I-N-G. That's the time that you can see her nipples when she's dressed, and you go down and say, honey, you need to get a training bra. It's okay to be having breasts and nipples and whatever, but you need to be just a little bit more modest, and they start learning to wear a bra and whatever. Now, the breast will get erect during excitement, during intercourse. That's normal. A lot of girls like men to suck on their breasts. Some girls don't. A lot of girls like the men to take their fingers and twist and gently rub the nipples. A lot of girls like that. Some don't. And in our society, you get this stupid thing that men love big breasts. Now, you're talking to here a person that I can't stand big breasts. I like a woman with small breasts. There's a lot of us in this society, a lot of TV people and a lot of commercials and a lot of movies are going to have these huge boobs hanging down and cleavage, and all the men going, oh. Some men do. Some men really like large breasts. I had a wife that had huge breasts, and she had a rash underneath those breasts her whole life. Her whole life. And trying to find a bra was like going to Omar the tent maker to find a bra. I didn't like that. But again, you don't get everything you like in a relationship. You may get a girl that has a very beautiful face, but you know, she's chubby, or you know, there's other things about her body that you don't like. You may get the opposite. You may get a girl with a beautiful little body and she's just not all that good looking. And girls, the same way with the men. The girls don't see the handsomeness of the men like the men see the beauty of the girl. Beauty to a man is much more important than tight abs and buff to a woman. Now, of course, you get some women that really like the football players and the buff guys, but I'm telling you, not most women. Most women marry a man because of his personality, his kindness, his ability to support their children, the way he treats her. But being a girl is tough because, you know, you've got to figure out, do I have the right boobs? Do I have the right hair? Do I have the right eye makeup? Do I look like a whore? Do I have not enough makeup on? If I wear too many tight clothes, do I look, you know, like a prostitute? And if I wear long dresses, no one's going to look at me. You know, you girls, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. I don't know how to be a girl. You know, I would be over the rail, suicide. I couldn't take all of the expectations of a girl, and then my vagina bleeding or my vagina pregnant, and all the things that go with human sexuality. Now, let me go to the birth of a baby, because that is kind of a scary thing to men and to women, of course. I've got 14 kids, and I've seen 10 of them born, 11 of them born. And what happens is, obviously, that uterus has the baby inside of it, and the baby's in water, and the baby is hooked to the uterus with the umbilical cord and the what we call afterbirth, after the baby is born, and they cut the umbilical cord. And the baby, they will take now sonic pictures of the baby. They'll take your stomach out at the doctor, and they got this little machine and put jelly on it, and they can see the head, and they can see one down the road. They can see a penis or a vagina, so they know, you know, if it's a boy or a girl. And it's kind of interesting because they now measure the head. They know when that baby's ready to be born. And it stays in that bag of water, and it's pretty safe in there. It would be extremely unusual to be hit in the stomach and break the bag of water. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Now, some of you go, oh, I remember my girlfriend. Okay, one girl out of 10 million, maybe it happened to. So the baby develops, and what you eat, ladies, has a lot to do with the health of that baby. Don't take any drugs. Be sick rather than taking, you know, Tylenol and over-the-counter stuff. Many drugs. I've lived long enough. I remember thalidomide. I remember thalidomide when I was a teenager. They gave that to pregnant women all the time, and the babies came out with little arms and little legs because it hadn't been tested. don't take any drugs unless your doctor insists upon it when you're pregnant. Make sure you're with a doctor that you're comfortable with, that you can talk to, and things you're scared about or questions that you have. Well, there shouldn't be any spotting when you're pregnant. That's an indicator there's something wrong. If you're spotting when you're pregnant, you need to go see your doctor. Something is wrong and coming apart. So basically, the baby can roll around in that bag of water, and it will suck its thumb and smile. And I've got a picture of Genevieve with her beautiful eyelashes. They're so clear you could see her smiling, sucking her thumb with an eyelash. Now what happens with that baby in the last month or so is the head of that baby becomes heavier than the rest of the baby. And whatever's heavy in a bag of water is going to go to the bottom. So that baby's head is now going to drop towards the vagina and towards the bottom of the uterus. Okay, now, you're going to feel really uncomfortable that last month because that baby's low. It's like walking with a bowling ball between your legs. It's going to drop more and more and more, and pretty soon you're going to feel pressure there. You're going to want to lay down. You're going to be tired a lot, and you're going to think, gee, this needs to come out. I'm ready. I'm ready. Whatever it takes, I'm going to take the pain. I'm ready. So, many times you'll be there with your husband, and he'll be watching his watch, and you'll start getting pains. They might be at first 20 minutes apart, 30 minutes apart, and the closer those get together, the closer you need to get to the hospital. So usually, if they're 5 minutes apart or so, I'd get over to the front of the hospital and get out front, and you know, they get 2 or 3 minutes together, I'd go in. I'd go in. Now, at that point, you're not in charge of your body anymore. And he's not in charge of his body. They're going to tell you what to say, where to sit, what to put on, and how to act. So they're going to separate you and the husband. They're going to put him in a robe and a beanie cap, you know, for cleanliness. They're going to take you in and just put you basically in a robe, and they're going to put you in a birthing bed that the back will come up a little bit on it. And they're going to hook an IV to you. They're going to put a needle in your arm, and you'll have a bag up here with an IV, so they can put a needle in that bag area anytime they want. If you need pain, or you need morphine, or you need anything, they can